It's time for the King Louie OG and Slimeboat Jones Slimecast.
I wanna be the very best, like no one ever was. Oh yeah, to catch them is my real test, to train them is my cause. Oh yeah, I will travel across the land, searching far and wide. These Pokemon to what? It's not Pokemon? What do you mean it's Pokemon? It's Pokemon. Damn it, we won the war for a reason. I don't want to hear it. As I've previously mentioned in episode 1, my very first save file of any game that was my own and not associated with my brother was Pokemon Yellow for the Game Boy. I have specific memories from my first playthrough of that game, even though I have since played not only Yellow version, but other forms of Generation 1 and every other Pokemon generation since multiple times. And I would say easily the most hours put into any game franchise for me personally would be Pokemon. Slime, we're here with episode 6 of the Slimecast, and we're talking about, as you made a joke earlier, the number one selling media franchise, media IP of all time over Disney and Mickey Mouse. Pocket Monsters. Slime, how you doing?
How you doing, everybody? Today we're going to be talking about a game franchise that I love, the Pokemon franchise. So, Lou, why don't you get us started? You talked about Yellow, your first playthrough. What was it all about? How was your first experience?
I'd say knowing that, this was back in the day when I was much younger, and I was only interested in Pokemon because of the cards and the anime. I didn't start with the games because my brother had the games, but I knew of Pokemon because of the cards. Everybody in our day had the cards, and then a few years later, I would end up playing the game myself. And I know for a fact that on my first playthrough, I did basically Ash's team, where I had the starters with Pidgeot and Pikachu. And then at the time he didn't. I just kept Butterfree because in America I don't think it had gotten to the point where he had even released Butterfree yet in the anime on television. So that was definitely my first playthrough. I definitely used Pikachu a lot. I specifically remember surfing to Cinnabar and opening my menu and seeing that Pikachu was 5-10 levels higher than everyone else. And since that playthrough, it's just been more of the same ever since. Is obviously you change the team up, you find guys, different mons that you like. Gen 1, obviously, there's the nostalgia aspect, but realistically, objectively, Gen 1 has some of the best designs. There's definitely some ones that...
The best designed Pokemon?
The best designed Pokemon.
Okay, all right.
There's definitely ones that, in retrospect, people like Magnemite because it's classic, but Magnemite was the first kind of dumb, inanimate Pokemon, and and Voltorb. No one really had a problem back then.
Well, at least they gave Voltorb some attitude.
Oh, they definitely gave Voltorb
They had
attitude
to in order to make it sell,
Yeah, and Magnemite and Magneton were just magnets on synthetic, mechanical eyes. But other than that, just simplistic, awesome designs. Nidoking is like a little mouse with a horn that grows into a huge mouse with a horn. It's weird, something so...
I think it's supposed to be a rabbit, right?
Is it a rabbit?
I think it's supposed to be a rabbit.
Yeah.
Right? Nidoran? It's supposed to be a rabbit?
I know that they're just supposed to be,
the kaiju monster.
Kaiju...
Yeah. With the ears.
Rodents, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
as opposed to like a Rattata or a Pikachu, which are clearly, mouse and rat.
Mm.
But like something simple like Kingler, it's just a crab, but because it's just like got the cool head crest and the huge claw, like simple can be awesome when it's done right. And Pokemon is a shining example of that. Gen 1. Gen 2 and 3 are similar because anyone who knows that a lot of those Mons from 2 and 3 were already conceived and drawn that didn't make it into the game. Like, that's what, if you didn't know, Missing No from the game is like a bunch of Johto Pokemon that they originally had planned to put in the game. They just ran out of room or they ran out of time. I forget exactly what it is.
A little bit of both.
But I know that if you trade some Missing No's to gold, it'll be that Pokemon corresponding in gold because it actually exists in gold. So they really were ambitious with their first game, and that's probably why it was so broken. Anyone who's played the Gen 1 games knows of most of the glitches. But like I said, from there, they only kept making, well, I wouldn't say they kept making better games, but they really stuck to a formula that just worked. Insert Todd Howard meme. It just works.
Yeah, it's interesting. So my first experience playing Pokemon, it was a little bit different than yours. You said you originally saw the cards, saw the anime, then got Yellow.
Well, no, my brother had Yellow, Blue, and Red. Okay. I was just allowed to play Yellow eventually.
So you saw your brother playing the older ones like ahead of time, or like you didn't really even like?
Well, I wouldn't peeking over his shoulder, and back then I was still, maybe 4 years old, 3 years old when he was first because the games came out obviously a little before the cards and the anime. It's obviously in Japan as well, but my first I think my first memory of Pokemon is before I went to preschool or kindergarten one day. I forget which it was. It was the episode where Ash gets Bulbasaur was on TV because my brother was watching it. And I'm pretty sure that was my first, because obviously it's shady thinking back that far, but continue about your first experience.
Yeah, so mine, I actually was introduced to the games first. So my friend who lived down the street was really my brother's friend. He had a Game Boy and he showed me Pokemon, and I didn't really understand it. Like at the time, I was really young, probably 4 or 5, really young, and I remember seeing him just like walking around. I think he was like on that route to the right of Cerulean, where there's like you can get the Drowsy there in one of the games. Like Drowsy's commonly found there.
You mean in Vermilion? To the right of Vermilion City?
Yeah, to the right of Vermilion City, yeah. So, I'm sorry.
Right near Diglett Cave.
Right near Diglett Cave, yeah. So I remember being over there and being like, I didn't really understand the game. Then later on, I remember being at a party, like a block party almost, and like being there with another kid who lived down the street. And we were in Viridian Forest, and I saw Kakuna, and I swear to God, and I don't know if I'm remembering it wrong, but I could have sworn it had the sprite with the claws out. So I don't know if they were playing a Japanese version.
No,
if that's in
red. In red it has the claws out.
Yeah, it has the claws out. I remember that. And then I don't even remember how I got the game, but eventually I got the game. I had Red. I don't know if that was like my birthday or if it was Christmas. It's going that far back, but I got Red and I played. I say it's like the classic way everybody plays the first time they play a Pokemon game is where you like over level your starter and like you have like Pidgeot, like not as highly leveled, but still higher level than all your other guys. So like that's what I did. I think I had Charizard and Pidgeot and pretty much just like swept the whole game with like a level 100. I remember playing through the Elite Four over and over and over again until getting my Charizard level 100. And and then the games came after and loved the show. Loved the show growing up, like so classic to this day. One of the most classic shows. It's got one of the longest run times, one of the most episodes. I haven't even followed all of it, but like that first run of Indigo Plateau was just like legendary.
Oh, so good.
So good. Everybody knows the song. Everybody knows the episodes.
Everyone knows several of the songs.
Everyone knows the Poke
Like,
Rap.
Pikachu's jukebox.
I remember being in second grade before Gold and Silver came to the United States or was released. You could buy it. I remember wishing for it, like, you pass the graveyard in the car and you hold your breath and it's like you're supposed to like be able to make a wish. Have you ever heard that?
No.
I remember doing that.
You're a weirdo. That's
It's like I remember like praying like, oh my god, I hope I get silver. I hope I get silver. Like, leading up to Christmas, and then I got it. I was so stoked. And like that year leading up to the release and like all of us getting it, we were like making up our own Pokemon and art class and stuff and like drawing our own guys. And I just remember, like the hype was real for me, like through Gen 1, Gen 2, Gen 3.
So yeah, you talk about wishing for silver. Don't remember specifically, but I'm pretty sure I got gold and my brother got silver because I'm pretty sure gold was mine. That was like the first Pokemon game that was actually mine. And then eventually I would get crystal. But we had all the games up to that point, red, blue, yellow, gold, silver, crystal. And then I think my brother either broke the blue or lost it. But we still have all the other ones, I think, under my bed. But anyway, Gen 2, I think I'm almost positive it's like the same engine. They just, touched it up. But Gen 2 was everything great about the original, but better. I really love Gen 2. Obviously, the nostalgia, you love Gen 1, but Gen 2 is a better game, I think. With more to do, obviously. And, all Mons, including the new ones.
And the post game is just legendary.
The post game, it's like a whole nother game.
Yeah, I went back recently. I played through it. Like I always say, it's like a whole nother game.
It's like it's 2/3 is the first part, and then the last part's a third.
Yeah, it's more condensed version. You can run through it pretty quick. And, but it's still awesome, legendary. It's like you're traveling through Kanto again.
Yeah, and you're going a different way. I think it was really well done, and it's great because when you get to the end of the regular first 8 gym badges, it's like, okay, well, the map, there's nothing like anywhere for there to be a Pokemon League. And it's like, oh, wait, you just surf right next to your house where you started. And it's like, oh, wait, okay, I'm in Kanto now. No wonder why we're going to the Indigo Plateau. We're just coming from the other side. Like, that was so cool the first time for me.
I don't really remember like that first specific playthrough for me on Gen 2. Like I remember playing as Typhlosion and having a hard time to get through the Elite Four the first time. I started with Typhlosion. I remember that game being tough for me.
So as you were saying,
I got through it, but I had to really try.
As you were saying earlier, with the way most people play the game, where
just like kids, their first time.
You just have seen, but I had an older brother who, from the beginning, except maybe my first yellow playthrough, like I said, I had Pikachu a little over-leveled. But after that playthrough, I would adhere to the strict older brother plan because it makes the game so much better, is that you don't ever over-level. You catch, like, so you get your starter. So let's say we're talking red. You get your starter, so you have your Charmander or what have you, and then you get your Nidoran and your Pidgey, and then this, that, and the other. In the order you catch them, you get everyone up to the same level, and then that's their order in the party. So then, let's say you get all your guys to the same level at 20. So your Charmeleon's at level 20, you raise him to 21, put him at the bottom. Your Pidgey is level 20, get it to 21, or Pidgeotto, whatever it is at that point, and you put it at the bottom, and so on and so forth. And that forces you to not just use one guy A or B, only do type advantages. It makes it a little more, you struggle a little bit. You have to rely on items sometimes, and if you just are doing type advantages the whole time, switching your Mons, the game is too easy. And if you just have a level 80 Charizard, the game is too easy and not fun. You're just using Flamethrower over and over and over again. That's why I never played like that.
First 2 times I definitely played like that, and then I started like getting a little wise. Like when I played through, I think I had Sapphire, definitely changed up my strategy. And then I met you, and then I was like, oh, he really sticks to like every single level he switches a guy. Because for a while I did like a hybrid where I would like, okay, I'm fighting water guys. All right, let me use
That's
the trick.
that's
for like
how
5-6
most
levels.
That's
Then,
how
okay,
most
all right,
people
now
play.
I'm in Diglett Cave. All right, let me use my water guy.
Yeah.
Get like 5 levels.
I think that's how most people play.
Yeah.
Where they know they're in Rock Tunnel, so they're just going to have their water or grass guy, or they know they're in, Misty's gym, so they're just going to use Pikachu or something along those lines. Which I think takes the fun out of the game, because then it's just
rock, paper, scissors.
Match the types. I think the struggle is real, like when you're like, okay, I have this Pidgeot in, and they sent out a Graveler. It's like, oh, I really am not going to do damage. So let me maybe get a sand attack off so that my guy who I have to switch into might not take the hit. It's more strategy. There's more thinking. There's more calculating. There's more fun. Where instead of, electric guy, ground. Fire guy, water. It's like, yeah, I guess.
You do that in the champions battle.
Well, you have to do that later because they specifically make it like that because they're usually 10 levels stronger than you in that point in the game. Like the first Elite Four member you fight is kind of similar to you, and then by the champion, they're 10 levels above you. So it's like you have to kind of rely on that to compete. But for like the main game, fighting youngster Joey, like, come on. But back to Gold. I love Charizard. I love Greninja. I've had Gen 3 is hard because there's been periods where I've liked each one more than the other. Like, I kind of like all the guys in Gen 3, the starters, I'm specifically saying. Gen 4, I like two of, Empoleon should have been so much better. It's not that good in Gen 4. As now in New Day, when they released the Gen 4 remake, Empoleon's going to be, without a doubt, the best. Like, no question. With Fairy type added, and just the way Steel has become better and better over time, better moves. Oh man, Empoleon is going to be so good when the new remakes come out. But Gen 4, I like two of the other two, like, aesthetically. Gen 5 starters.
See, the Gen 4, Gen 5, Gen 6 kind of is like a blur for me because I didn't play those games as much. Like, I definitely tried each one, but I never really had an affinity with them.
Gen
so
6,
I always get those starters mixed up.
Gen 6, literally, it's really hard, to start a new game in Gen 6 and not pick Froakie. The other two are just so lackluster compared to Greninja. Greninja, I think, is, over Charizard, the number one.
Who else is in that one? It's Fennefox?
Fennekin. And Chestnut. Chestnut looks so much better shiny. If they had the shiny guy, as his base colors, he would be a lot cooler, but too bad. But anyway, it's a one-trick pony with Greninja, because Greninja is the most loved Pokemon over Charizard, I think, which I'm surprised by. But then Gen 7, I think they brought it back where all three starters are good in different ways, and then Gen 8 is the same thing, I think. But as far as my favorite all-time starter is Feraligatr. Feraligatr is so cool. Definitely my favorite starter over Charizard. Charizard he's close second, but Feraligatr takes the cake. And because of the way Gold, which they definitely fixed in later generations, Gold has 3 water-based HMs. So, it actually behooves you to have 2 water Pokemon in Gen 2 in order to, have all your HMs, because you don't want to hold one guy with multiple HMs. Unless it's an HM Slave Mon, which you're not going to have at the end of the game when you're getting Waterfall.
I think it makes even more sense in Heart Gold, Soul Silver, because I think
because it splits physical and
physical and special.
Yeah.
So in the original, doesn't really make sense to put Waterfall on Feraligatr because his attack is high, but Waterfall is a special move. But in the remakes, it's better for his stats. So definitely good to have him and Lapras that's the go-to is Feraligatr and Lapras for me.
But Gen 3 is a different, because I know a lot of people look back really, really fondly, you included, look back really fondly on Gen 3. I think Gen 3, it's not bad. But compared to Gen 2, I can't say I particularly like it. Like, there's that one stretch where you're in the tall grass in the rain for way too long. And there's that one stretch, like there's too much water IGN review. Like,
well, that's what I was going to say.
There's a lot. It's not too much water, but because most of it's optional, but there's a lot of water.
Not to mention that, but right at that time where there's like, they introduce that whole right side of the map and it's a lot of water, they give you like a difficulty spike in late and
for
Tate
sure.
and Liza.
Yeah.
So it's like they really like pressure you to
fight all those trainers in the water.
Fight all those trainers in the water and go and actually grind out in the wild and do the diving, and they expect you to get a lot of experience like that. But, my God, it's just such a slog.
It's a slog.
Yeah, I went back and but if you can get through it, it's a good game. It's just, has that pacing issue.
You should play the Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire. They definitely make it more palatable, I would say. Like, that's why the IGN review gets hate, because they made it more palatable. And they still said too much water, It's like, get out of here. But Gen 3, that's how I feel. Gen 4. There's a reason everyone's so excited and has been so excited for years for the Gen 4 remakes. And it's really probably the best game, gameplay-wise. Like, it's the best Pokemon game still to this day. I know there's a lot of people who like Gen 5 games. Gen 5 has pacing issues, I'd say, more than Gen 3. Because Gen 3 is pretty good until that point where you hit the open water.
Yep.
Whereas Gen 5, there's multiple points in the game. And this is what Slime hasn't beaten didn't beat White version. Because he just couldn't.
I couldn't get through it. There was not enough cool guys to catch. I felt gonna fight a Sandile and a Sandile and a Sandile and a Sandile. I was like, oh my God.
There's a lot of pacing issues with Gen 5, I feel. They definitely made it better in Black and White 2, but I feel like the end game of Black and White 2 is just like literally the same end game as Black and White 1. So they definitely made the main game better. I'd say the main story, getting the 8 badges, but I think Gen 5 has its love, and it's good in some, like the tournament that they added in Black and White 2 is awesome. There are definitely some cool mons in Gen 5, but there's a lot of trash mons.
Well, that's the one that they added like 100 guys.
That's the most dense, added, more than the Gen 1 is Gen 5. Just like a lot of like the ice cream Vanillite line trash. Literally, Trubbin and Garbodor literally, like factually, trash.
According to the Pokedex.
Yeah, like actually trash. Garbage. Bouffalant, Goofy Tauros, whoop-de-doo.
I don't think that's that bad.
It's not terrible.
It would be cool if it was connected in Tauros in some way, but it's not.
But they already had Miltank kind of fill that role.
Yeah.
But it's just but then there's some really cool guys like Braviary is really cool.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's lame about Gen 5 the most, and Gen 4 suffers from this a little bit, not as much. Is just the ridiculous amount of legendary and mythical Pokemon. It's like unnecessary, absurd. Like Meloetta does not need to exist. Or
it should just be a regular psychic Pokemon.
Yeah, Manaphy and Fion don't need to exist. There's just a lot of those mons that it's just like
there's like padding or filler.
It's like I've literally only ever gotten them to complete my Pokédex, and I will never use them. And it's like some of them are nearly impossible to get because there's only been one event in the USA. Like Meloetta is so hard to get without cheating because there's only ever been one event or like 2 events. It's obnoxious, but that Gen 5 really suffers a lot in there. Gen 6, actually, let me touch on Gen 4 because I kind of skipped over it. What I was going to say is Gen 4 has not only the most satisfying, I think, 8 gym badge. Like, Gym 1 is kind of difficult. And then as it is in most Pokemon games, the middle badges get a little easier. But then as you start getting later in the game, it ramps up as it should. And the Elite Four and Cynthia are the best of the Elite Fours and Champion by far.
Yeah, they did a good job with her and her team.
The one caveat, and we've talked about this before, not on the Slimecast, but we've talked about this personally, is my one issue with Gen 4 is Team Galactic. Why does I know they even did this in the anime, every single grunt has a Golbat. It's like every single grunt has a Golbat. And in the anime, literally, all the grunts throw their balls, and there's like 45 Golbats that come out, and I laughed so hard when I saw that, because it was like, at least they acknowledged that they all had Golbats. But now back to Gen 6. Gen 6, I'm pretty sure you didn't play at all.
X and Y?
Did you?
I tried, but there was just so much exposition in the beginning. I was just like, my thing with X and Y, because I've played all the games, played through Gen 4, playing through Platinum.
You never
the first
played
time.
Sun and Moon, did you?
No, I never played Sun and Moon.
Yeah, you never played Sun and Moon.
I skipped Sun and Moon, and I skipped, I have it. I just never played it. I skipped X and Y now, but X and Y, I gave a try, and they have that like castle or something that you go into.
Yeah, to get cut.
And to get cut, and you go outside, and they have the hedges, and it's supposed to be like Versailles, and it's all this stuff, and you're going in, and it's a dungeon, and you don't fight anybody. Yeah. And I was like, what is going on? And it was just too much exposition. And then you watch the fireworks, and I just wanted to play the game, so I couldn't. I had to like quit that one.
That's funny, because right after that is where it starts getting way better. You just have to get through that part.
Yeah, maybe I'll go back and like give it a shot. Like, I definitely played Gen 1 a lot, Gen 2 a lot, Gen 3 I like.
So what I was going to say about Gen 6 is that's the thing with Gen 6 is the beginning and the ending aren't good, but the middle is like the best middle of any Pokemon game. So it's like I was like so amped to get to the Elite Four. The first, like, I remember it was like 5:36 in the morning, like the sun was rising. And like this light was shining in on me. I was like so pumped. The music is pumping up. I just got through, because Victory Road's pretty good in Gen 6. It's pretty long, and it's a lot of trainers, and there's like puzzles, and there's secret areas with TMs you don't have to go in.
That's good.
Victory Road of Gen 6 is pretty damn good. But then you get to the Elite Four, and it's the easiest Elite Four ever. And like I had such a cool team with like Megamons. And like because anyone who got the game in the first 6 months or whatever it was, you got the special Torchic right at the beginning of the game that is ready to become Mega Blaziken by the time it's a Blaziken. And you have like this sick team because you get a Gen 1 starter in addition to your Gen 6 starter, and you had Mega Blaziken, and you can get Garchomp easily. And I forget who else was on my team, but it was just like, oh, I'm so ready.
Stacked.
And I just mollywopped the Elite Four with ease. Like, literally, before the sun even fully rose, I just destroyed them. And they don't get better post-game, and it's really disappointing. Because, like I said, the middle up to Victory Road is just really good. So you didn't play Gen 7, but I don't think you should play Gen 7.
Because it's kind of the same thing. I started it up, and it was just a lot of exposition. I just couldn't get hooked. That's the thing. With a game, I have to be hooked. I'm busy. I'm working. I have to be hooked right away. I can't have like 3 hours of exposition.
It has so much exposition throughout the entire game. The first time I played it, I kind of enjoyed it. The story was like interesting. And I especially blame Loxton because I was expecting some awesome stuff to happen, which it never did because Loxton is obviously more clever than the writers of Pokemon. But the game has its ups, has its downs. It's definitely like I really liked the SOS like battle system. I liked some of the totem Pokemon were really challenging.
They added a lot of good guys in that.
There's a lot of cool guys in that gen. Guzma has the coolest battle theme ever. Team Skull like genuinely funny. In some instances, I thought. I love how the squeaky clean corporation is actually the bad guys the whole time. It's true to life. Like there's a lot going for Sun and Moon other than the ridiculous exposition that nobody cares about, the like forced romance between 11-year-olds, like certain pacing issues in some spots of the game, but for the most part, I enjoyed it. And then going back, it had a lot of replay value because it had the entire Pokedex available at that time. So when they added Pokemon Bank, it had like, you could bring mons that you hadn't played with in years. They added the virtual Game Boy, so they had red, blue, yellow, gold, and silver, crystal on virtual 3DS, so you could transfer those Pokemon with their hidden abilities over to Sun and Moon. Like Sun and Moon had a lot of replay value because of what they added peripherally.
Okay.
But the game itself, definitely too much exposition and some droll parts, but a lot of good, though. A lot of good.
And they kind of, I guess they went the other direction in the next gen, because I did play Sword and Shield, and that had like not a lot of exposition.
It's only in the beginning and whenever you faced Hop.
Yeah, and even then, it wasn't like these long, drawn-out things where you're watching the fireworks on a balcony holding somebody's hand. It's like, he's actually talking about his brother, and he's actually talking about beating you, and it's actually like, okay, it's relevant to what you guys are doing. Yeah, so it doesn't seem as bad.
Yeah. That's why. So as far as ones you should give a try, I'd say Gen 6 again, because once you get past that part, it gets a lot better. You catch Snorlax if you want. You have to battle Snorlax to get past it, like on the bridge, but just there's a lot of cool mons available.
I think I actually did get that far. I think I got to the Snorlax, and then it's like right after that, I was like,
yeah, that's where it picks up.
Yeah.
But yeah, Gen 8, I like certain things. It's definitely way better with the DLC. You still haven't played the DLC. But it adds a lot of replay value. Both of the DLCs, it adds a lot of. One negative about the DLC, I'll say, is that it gives you a lot of items. And if you want, you can go to the Isle of Armor and the other one real quick, Crown Tundra, and just walk around. You don't even have to battle mons that are too high for you to battle. You just pick up TRs and hold items and stuff that should all be end game. Like, right, you don't even have to get to the first badge. You just have to get to the point where you get off the train with Hop the first time in the wild area, and then you can go back on the train to the 2 DLC areas. So it's like as soon as you get to that point early in the game, that's like a half hour, 45 minutes of gameplay, depending on how many bonds you want to catch in the early routes. Like you can literally go lose the first battle in the Crown Tundra because your Pokemon are level 10. And then it's like, oh, well, you lost. But it doesn't stop you from progressing.
You don't white out.
So you can just go and catch a level 70 Suicune in the first Dynamax Lair battles in the Crown Tundra. And it's like, oh, okay, so now I have a level 70 Mon that is my trainer ID, so it'll obey me no matter what, right at the beginning of the game before I've even gotten to the first town and like registered for the gym challenge. And you can continuously, because you rent Pokemon in that, and you can continuously get a full team of legendaries right at the beginning, all level 70. And it's absurd, but it's good. Like I said with other video games, I like the option to do that because a lot of us loved back in the day having a Game Shark and having a level 100 Mewtwo in red version right off the bat. Like, it's good fun.
One thing that I loved doing with the Game Shark is, and I would always borrow yours, is I would just start with a different guy that's usually like an end game guy, somebody that like you like, but you can never really use.
Like a Larvitar or something.
Like a Larvitar, although that's tough because he levels up slow in the beginning. You start with that, or a Dratini, or like maybe you start with a Kabuto or something. Or just like something weird, just like changes up the gameplay, I liked doing that. I did like an Aerodactyl one time in Fire Red, or maybe it was Leaf Green actually, and like I had a lot of fun doing that. Those I think might be my favorite games. Is Leaf Green. I love Leaf Green.
Leaf Green is excellent.
Really, really good. Like That game is good enough where like I let my nephew play it and like he got most of the way through the game and like appreciated it. Like
Yeah.
it's like, you know, it's easy enough for a casual player to pick up, and it's all the classic Pokemon that they know. So that was good. I
And
love
it
that
fixed
game.
the broken issues with Gen 1. It added, the abilities that they added in Gen 3. It added, fresh, clean animations and better artwork, and the Verse Seeker is in that game, like so you can continuously level guys up.
They added the islands.
The 7 islands,
Yeah,
you can
70
catch
islands, right?
Gen 2 and Gen 3 mons. The whole like post game rocket base battles, getting the Ruby and the Sapphire to trade with Ruby and Sapphire for Bill.
Yeah.
Like I'm pretty sure you could get Mewtwo on Sevi Island. You have to go through the cave. He's in there.
Is he?
Or did they? Yeah, I think they moved Mewtwo from Cerulean Cave to
No, I don't think so. I could be wrong.
They put somebody in that cave on Sevi Island.
I know they moved Moltres out.
They
there.
moved Moltres to the volcano on one island.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
But yeah, that was definitely a fantastic
Frenzy
game.
Plant and Blast Burn.
Oh, those were
right?
the first games with Frenzy Plant, Blast Burn, and Hydro Cannon.
Hydro Cannon, yeah.
Yeah. Fantastic stuff. As far as the remakes too, like you were saying, Heart Gold earlier, I think Heart Gold is my favorite all-time Pokemon game.
That's one of the best. Definitely one of the best.
Because like I said, I loved Gold and Crystal. Heart Gold is also Gen 4, so it has all the Gen 4 mechanics where physical and special have been split attack-wise. So like Waterfall, like you said, would be physical.
Yep.
And Surf would be special, and just makes the game so much better. That's the gen they added so many moves that like you think back and you go and you play Gen 1, 2, and 3, and it's like, oh, I need this move so bad. It doesn't exist yet. Shadow Claw and
U-turn
and like Dark Pulse and just these awesome moves that are still like
Dark Pulse. I think was in Gen 3. No,
was Dark Pulse in Gen 3?
I don't know. I don't remember.
I don't know who learned Dark Pulse in Gen 3.
I could be wrong, actually.
Maybe it was just Absol's move or something.
Something like that. Maybe not used as much.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Dark Pulse is Gen 4. But I could be wrong. But I know that Gen 4 added a lot of stuff like Earth Power.
I love how there's like,
or maybe Earth Power was Gen 3.
I love how there's moves that like get forgotten over time. So like there's a lot of Gen 1 moves that like they exist, but like no one learns them in any of the newer ones. You can't get a
They
TM.
cleaned a bunch of them out in
They
Gen 8.
cleaned a bunch of them out where they just don't exist anymore. They're just forgotten.
Yeah.
I always think that's funny.
Which makes sense because as the game progressed and as things got more popular and as things like, they added the new types for balancing and they obviously like types like Dragon and Poison that each had like one attack that was an actual attack that like
Yeah,
wasn't
they definitely
good.
leveled it out.
Like
In later gens.
they added a whole bunch of stuff to where you really could use
Like a bug type.
like when I think about a challenge I want to do in a Pokemon game, I want to do an all bug team.
In later generations, you can do that.
That's because a bug is specifically because there's so many cool bugs with other types, like Heracross. Well, I mean, it's hard to do in Gen 8 because there aren't all of the Mons, but if they did have all the Mons, like a Heracross, Centiskorch, Drapion. Actually, I don't know. Did they get rid of Bug? Yeah, they get rid of Bug for Drapion because Bug Dark would be really, really good.
Yeah.
There's
a lot of good
there's
bug guys
so
now.
many good bug guys like Scizor,
Mm-hmm.
Golisopod, like awesome team of bug Pokemon. Like
I like Fortress, too.
Fortress, long gone are the days of
Shiny.
Kakuna, Weedle, Caterpie, Metapod, bug catcher teams. Even classic
Golisopod
ones.
is bug?
Yeah, Bug Water.
Yeah, dude.
He's awesome.
That's an awesome Pokemon they added.
That's one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Speaking of favorites, now last time when we ended the Slimecast, we went off air and we discussed what we might do for this episode. we took it upon ourselves, thinking if Pokemon was real, to be a master, Pokemon master.
Or if we were in the games or something.
Or we were specifically thinking more like the anime, like when Ash is in.
Yeah, like if you actually had these guys.
Like in an Indigo Plateau setting where, like it has your face up on the big screen with your 6 guys next to you in the little screens. Like what we would want our team to be. The stipulations and parameters being only one starter, only one pseudo-legendary, no legendaries, and optionally only one shiny Pokemon. So, Slime, I'll let you start.
Are we going to go alternate? Like I say one guy, you say one guy, or are we just running down the teams?
Yeah, let's alternate, and then at the end we'll do a wrap-up of, of our team individually. So, let's start with our starters. So, who is your all-time starter that you're going to have? Now, this might not, we've established it might not necessarily be your favorite starter, but it's one that if you're showing up to the Indigo Plateau ready for the championship battle, like this is your team, like that you're going to use, A, because it looks cool, and B, because it's also competitive. So, Slime, start with your starter now.
Well, it's interesting because I didn't go craft my team specifically to be competitive. I also thought like, okay, what if I was in the anime? What if I'm adventuring around? Who do I want? And at first, like when we were talking about starters, I love Gen 1. My first playthrough was with Charizard and Red. I was thinking Charizard, he's just such a badass. But as I was going through and thinking about well, maybe one other guy I'm thinking of on my team. Okay. Like what would it be like real life? Well, I'm going to definitely have another flying guy, so it's not like I'm going to fly on Charizard. So I was thinking like, okay, well, I need a guy who can surf. And, I joked around with King Louie. I was like, all right, so when I'm out there and I'm surfing across the ocean, I'm going to have Blastoise. So that way I can lay down on his shell, put a towel out, lay down, have a picnic or whatever on his back as I'm going across through the ocean or something. And he's also just a thug.
Yeah.
There's no wrong answer with Gen 1. Yeah, there was times where I was conflicted, where I didn't know who I liked better to start with, Squirtle or Charmander. But I also like Venusaur too. But I ended up choosing Blastoise. So that is my starter, is Blastoise. I love that guy, and the cannons. You just can't get any better than that.
Oh yeah. And either you also have options depending on what generation we find ourselves in. You have Mega Blastoise, which is okay, but I really like Gigantamax Blastoise.
Oh, it looks like a fortress.
Yeah, super cool.
Definitely better than the Mega. The Mega is
definitely...
The Mega is doofy.
It's a little doofy. But for my starter, as I previously said in this here cast, my favorite starter of all time, and where I'm starting my team, is with Feraligatr. Just, it's like you said, you're surfing on Blastoise. It's like the adaptability of a Feraligatr. You could surf with him. You can, he could do physical feats. Like Blastoise, while being a thug, as you said, everyone likes Blastoise. He's got short arms, He's not gonna lift a tree out of the way easily. Like if you're in the woods and you get a tree falls, Feraligatr is there with his his meat hooks that he's got. Lift his that big right up.
Meaty claws.
Well, he's not a Kingler, but Feraligatr aesthetically, I always thought was so cool. When I got I bought my first computer that was my own computer. My desktop background was a deviant art of a Feraligatr for years. That it was just because he was so cool. He's in the swamp, half swimming, half looking at you. He's just so cool. Feraligatr is one of my all-time favorites. The chompers, there's a fence that's half torn down. You're trying to go through a route, you're going a different way, and he could just bite that fence right out of the ground and throw it. Just, that's my guy. I want walking side by side with me. How Ash has his Pikachu. I want my Feraligatr. So who is your second team member, Slime?
So this guy is going to be my ace. So this is the guy that's going to be traveling outside the Pokeball with me.
Oh, even more than Stoice.
Even more than Stoice. I just kind of chose Blastoise because I needed a starter. I think if that stipulation wasn't in there, I probably actually wouldn't have a starter Pokemon on my team.
Okay.
But because of that, he's I like him the most. So I had him on the team. But this guy is going to be my ace. So
Before you continue, though, if it was the anime, I would be from New Barktown, and you would be from Pallet Town. But continue.
okay, yeah, that makes sense. So my guy would be, and like you said, you had it as a desktop background on your computer. I had this guy as a desktop background for the longest time, and that would be Gengar. So just one of the original, like, spooky, scary, obviously one of the first ghost type, and just I still love him to this day. They really buffed him up. Like later on, he's got high speed, high special. Give him Shadow Ball. Give him all these good moves.
They actually had to nerf him because they took away Levitate from him.
They actually had to nerf him at one point in time. But my Gengar would be a shiny Gengar. So that's where I'm using my shiny. I'm using it on Gengar. He's like goes from a purple to like a black, like a dull gray black, and with the red eyes, he just looks super scary. So, yeah, definitely Gengar.
And knowing your team, you don't have a team that really lends itself to many cool shinies, so it's a safe one to go with. But for me, like you said, would you say Gengar is like your favorite all-time Pokemon?
I would say Gengar is probably my favorite all-time Pokemon, yeah.
Okay, so other than Feraligatr...
It used to not be. It kind of grew on me over time.
Okay.
Yeah. I used to like Haunter even more, but I like Gengar now.
When I was young, I really liked Gyarados, but over time, I still like Gyarados, but he's definitely not in my top tier anymore. But as far as other than Feraligatr and maybe, yeah, like I'd say the top two being Feraligatr and my next Pokemon. And you even said this as last time, after we went off air. This guy was going to be on my team because I love this Pokemon so much, and that's Jolteon.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Jolteon, the best evolution. There's no. All the other Eevees, there's some good ones. There's I think Flareon's kind of basic. Sylveon is a fairy, so it's kind of not my cup of tea, not my style. But I like Glaceon, I like Leafeon, I like Vaporeon, I like Umbreon and Espeon. But Jolteon is cooler than all of them. Jolteon is my evolution of choice, and is other like I don't know if there's an electric Pokemon that I'd choose over. If coming down to it, when I was building my team, I was thinking, I really like Electros, but it's like I like Jolteon more. So like Electros isn't going to be on my team. Spoiler alert. But Jolteon holds a special place in my heart.
Yeah, that was the one guy that I knew was going to be on your team, that I knew you were going to choose. All right, I guess I'm going to go in order of generation.
Okay.
So I had two in Gen 1 that I really like, and then I actually have a guy from Gen 2, and that's Skarmory.
Okay.
So, love Skarmory. Playing through Silver, I don't think I ever encountered Skarmory. It might be exclusive to Gold. I don't know. Or only at the end. I never came across it.
Maybe it is. No, I think it's in both. Or no, maybe it's only in one.
So, and then they reintroduced Skarmory in Gen 3.
Yeah, where you can catch him in the ash.
Where
grass.
all the soot is.
The soot, yeah.
So I remember seeing, and I thought he was a Gen 3 guy at first. And then I discovered, oh no, he's Gen 2.
Yeah, he was only in one route in Gen 2, though, and he's like 1%.
Like I had forgotten. Really love Skarmory. The red feathers, he's metal. He doesn't have the coolest looking face, but like I can forgive
he's cool.
that. He's cool looking, but they could have, made a little bit more mean. He's no Corviknight,
Yeah, well, Corviknight, they made specifically to be really cool.
But I like Skarmory better than Corviknight. I think he's he was really good competitive, like mixed with another guy.
He still is.
Still good.
Still really good. Yeah.
I know for a period of time when he was first introduced, he was really good.
He's just singles competitive. He's not as competitive in doubles, but singles he's one of the best.
And that would be my only Gen 2 guy, but I love Skarmory.
So if we're going to stick in order, I actually have went out of order because obviously I started with my starter who is Gen 2. But I have a second Gen 1 guy, as you had 2 Gen 1 guys. And it's funny that you're flying on your Skarmory. I will be next to you flying on my Aerodactyl. Aerodactyl, I knew I wanted to use a fossil Pokemon on this team. I love the fossils in most generations, and probably every fossil Pokemon I think is really cool. Kabutops being so cool, and then
so badass,
and then our Lord and Savior Omanite and Omastar, and then Aerodactyl is so cool. And you go into Gen 3. I think the weakest fossil being the flower one, Lilip, yeah. But what's his name? Amaranth? No.
Armaldo.
Armaldo, yeah.
Yeah.
Armaldo is sick. And then Gen 4, both of them are sick. And then Gen 6, both of them are sick. And then Gen 7, they ruined it because the scientist is stupid and she mixed together the Pokemon incorrectly. So they're like abominations. They could have done it so cool, but it's neither here nor there. But Aerodactyl, whether we're in Mega times or if it's not Mega, I love Aerodactyl. I know a lot of people hate Go in the modern anime that's currently going on. But I was pumped when Go caught Aerodactyl because it's like, yes, finally somebody has an Aerodactyl. Like, awesome. They always made Aerodactyl to be like a villainous Pokemon in most episodes. And if you think back to its first episode where Charizard evolves, it's like devious, like it's like throwing people around, like doing the tongue out with the eye. Like it's just like, I'm trying not to use bad words, but he's not too fond of our main characters. Let's just say a little bit unscrupulous.
One of the best episodes.
But one of the best episodes for sure. But Aerodactyl, just imagine like you're in a Pokemon battle and it's like, okay, I took out this guy's Pokemon. What's he going to use next? And the Pokeball comes out and you just hear the, Arr! It's like, oh crap. It's like an Aerodactyl. Damn. What? The speed
Just got real.
The strength, the ability to use moves like Crunch and Iron Head. I love Aerodactyl.
All right. So if I'm going to continue down my list here.
There any Gen 3 mons on your list?
I have 2 Gen 3 guys on my list.
Who are you going to go first?
So when I played through Sapphire, my right-hand man the whole way through, and it just kind of is because of the type matchups in the normal playthrough of Sapphire, but my man most of the way through was Hariyama. And just he really grew on me. I don't think he's the best looking, design-wise.
He's definitely cool.
He's cool. He's got a coolness to him, but he's not the best looking. But man, he's just fun to use in that original vanilla playthrough.
Oh yeah.
Of Sapphire, and I just remember having a really good time, and I like the fighting type, but a lot of the fighting type mons are. I love Hitmonlee. It was Hitmonlee
was an honorable mention on my team as well.
Yeah,
I love Hitmonlee.
I love Hitmonlee, but Hariyama won it out for me. And I got one more Gen 3, but you can go next.
All right. So, on a side note, if you do end up playing Gen 6, there's a spot where you could catch a wild Hariyamas. So you could catch wild Makuhitas earlier, but you can literally catch wild Hariyamas, and it's also really good in that game. Several of my playthroughs, I might not have finished with Hariyama, but I used it for a while because it was just good. But my next mon going down, I have one Gen 3 mon, and it is my pseudo legendary. And it is my shiny as well. One of my 2 favorite shinies. Not full disclosure, my other favorite shiny being Shiny Nidoking, who didn't make the team, which he was another honorable mention along with Hitmonlee. but Shiny Metagross is Metagross by himself is like, I was talking about Magnemite being just like metallic, but Metagross is like, it makes sense because it's like a psychic steel, like it's like born of the rock, like born of the metal, like it's just such a cool concept. And then it's mega, it turns into like a spaceship. And then you look at the shiny colors. It's like the
So striking.
it's the like the White Ranger from Power Rangers, kind of. And
Yeah.
it's sick. Just so cool, so good, competitively, so good in the game, like story wise. Move pool is awesome. Just like you're talking about surfing on Blastoise. I'm gonna do a picnic in the sky on my Metagross. Like such an awesome Pokemon. I have a shiny Metagross in my game. I forget which game. It might be in my home. I don't know if I have it actually in one of my files. My shiny Metagross named Thugnificent.
Thugnificent.
Classic.
A guy from Gen 3 that I loved growing up, and it was kind of like one of those guys that, I think doesn't get enough love, and I think a lot of people think this, where...
And I know where you're going, and I'm just going to say it should have gotten love in Gen 8, and it didn't. But continue.
It also should have gotten a Mega. But this guy is Flygon. So Flygon... I even like Trapinch, to be honest.
Trapinch is cool, yeah.
I even like Trapinch. I like Trapinch. Vibrava
is meh. It's meh,
It's
yeah.
all right. And then Flygon is just like so cool looking. I wouldn't say that he's a thug, but
he's got the like
he's
red
got a
goggle
little bit-
eyes.
He's got a little like he's got a
cool.
little swagger. He's got the red goggles, and his type combination was good. Like,
So good.
oh yeah, I really love that type combination.
Which is why Garchomp is also so
That's
good.
why Garchomp, the ground and dragon, and I needed a dragon guy on my team, and I only have one guy left, but I wasn't really able to pick a pseudo legendary to go on my team. Lewis said at least one, or no more than one.
Yeah, right.
And I really, I didn't want to pigeonhole myself too much. I know Flygon has good stats.
It's
Also,
a shade under. It's a shade
Gengar
under.
has good stats.
Yeah.
So them combined, maybe that will get me through. But
I mean, you don't need a pseudo legendary by any means. It was just a stipulation that you couldn't have like 6 pseudo legendaries on your team.
Yeah. So, but yeah, Flygon, and I even like Trapinch.
So now I had 2 in Gen 1, 1 in Gen 2, and 1 in Gen 3. I am skipping all the way to Gen 8 for my last 2 Pokemon. There was a Pokemon, and I'm going to start with this one. There was a Pokemon that if anyone, was during the hype before Sword and Shield came out, there was all the leaks that happened a few weeks out where they basically revealed all the new Mons. And I saw Gigantamax Colossal, and I had just been playing Monster Hunter World, and it looks just like Zora Magdaros. So I was like, oh my god, that's so cool. And then I actually like the not Gigantamax, like the standard, just like sprite, like you have it in your camp. Cool mon, like a volcano kaiju. Awesome. Like I really enjoy that Pokemon. And the fact that its stats actually lend it to being a defensive, like special attacker is really interesting. It has, especially with the DLC they added, I forget what it was called. It was like Meteor something. It was like a special rock move. I forget exactly, but I just remember they added that, and it's like I was because I think they took out the move Power Gem, or it couldn't learn Power Gem or something, which was really, really depressing at the time. But then they added that move in the DLC, and it's like, oh, perfect. So not only defensive stalwart, but can do some good damage, has a cool type combination. You got to watch out for water and ground, but it's so defensive and bulky that you can kind of still wing it. And I just love the design. And again, if you're not facing a water or a ground, it's got a lot of advantages over other things. So Definitely a Mon I want on my team. Slime?
For my last guy, I also went all the way to the most recent gen, went all the way to Sword and Shield. And some honorable mentions for me would be Rhydon. Really love Rhydon. I also really like Scizor.
Scissor's good.
Really like Scizor. And I like Infernape. Infernape might have been a starter that I liked.
Infernape's cool.
Yeah, I think maybe he was like third as far as the starters go. But for my grand finale, the guy that I like that's going to be the 6th member of my team is going to be Toxtricity.
The Toxtricity of our city.
They took I would say they kind of took a risk on him in terms of his design. Like, he's very different.
He's very different.
But they pulled it off.
But
he looks great.
If I could interject, Machoke in like looking back is very different, but Machoke works. I feel like Toxtricity
Machoke is an awesome design.
Machoke
Machoke.
Machoke's an awesome design.
Yeah.
Toxtricity kind of is in that same humanoid vein where it just works. Insert Todd Howard meme here.
Yeah, unlike a Mr. Mime, which is like uncanny valley, kind
Right.
of creepy.
Right. Yes. Exactly.
Well, they gave Toxtricity like this attitude, like, and you can tell it in both of his forms. He's got the low key and then the amped, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, just the way he's rocking around, and I really like the low key. I had the amped version.
Yeah, I had
my playthrough.
Yeah.
But I like the low key, and they really, they did something special with Toxtricity. You can tell that like they designed it specifically to be a fan favorite.
Yeah.
In some ways. And they gave him an awesome ability with like a move that's like completely tailored to it.
The hieroglyph, what do you want to call it? The grass. In the first town where you get the grass badge, there's the I can't think of the crop circle. What do you want to call it?
Yeah, it's like a cliff carving.
But it's referencing that thing in England, obviously.
Yeah.
Of the giant, but it's Megatoxtricity, and they didn't release Megatoxtricity right away, so it was kind of
that was mysterious. Yeah,
it was mysterious.
Very mysterious, and it's good to have some like legends like that where like you don't really know what's going on, and nowadays they can release stuff after the fact. But I remember way back in Gen 1 like liking the mystery of like, oh, somebody said you can find something somewhere, or there's this guy that is in this cave, or oh man, if you surf on the side of Cinnabar Island, weird stuff happens. And I think they did a good job trying to bring back some of the mystery in Sword and Shield as far as like the lore goes, and Megatoxtricity definitely lends itself to that.
So you mean Gigantamax?
Gigantamax.
Yeah.
But for me, I don't think he has the best design. Like, he's kind of like with the antenna and everything. Like, I kind of just like the regular.
Oh yeah, I definitely prefer the regular one.
Yeah.
So for me, some honorable mentions. I've mentioned a few, like Charizard and Hitmonlee, Gyarados, Kabutops. Like, there's a lot of honorable mentions out there. There's a lot of guys that are super cool. Lucario is cool. You said Infernape. I agree. Torterra's super cool. Even in Pokemon, like low key is I think really cool is like something like Vespiquen, like super cool design. Queen Bee that's like sinister, awesome.
Yeah, I think that design works.
But for my 6th Mon, obviously we're still in Gen 8 as my last Mon was in Gen 8. One of the coolest designs I think they've ever done, and an awesome type combination, and has an awesome Gigantamax form, and is like, it was close. I might have used my shiny on this one too because it's really good, but shiny Metagross took the cake. Grimmsnarl is so cool, is pretty good. Not the best Pokemon, pretty good. But I even like its evolution, because if you remember when they were first revealing Pokemon legitimately, like, because the guy from Cerebi will only put out like the officially released Pokemon when, because obviously the leaks will come out and he's not because he wants to actually be in good terms with Nintendo and Game Freak. He won't put out the leaks. So officially released Pokemon, the way that Impidimp was officially released was the demo at E3 or something that people played, and then they saw. It was like, oh, this is a Pokemon they haven't released yet. What is this?
No, I think it was a live stream, wasn't it?
No, it was a demo at one of the events. I'm
Okay.
like 99% sure.
Oh, I'm thinking of the Ponyta was the.
That was the
stream.
live
Yeah.
stream, yeah. But Impidimp, I thought, was so dumb. I was like, oh no, what is this garbage? Awful mon, disgusting. Why is this looks nothing like Pokemon? And then it evolves. And the middle form, I can't think of his name at the moment. Yeah, I'm drawing a blank. But is pretty cool. And it's like, oh, his colors are kind of like, he's not like the pink works now. Because I thought Impidimp was like, what is this? Like, is it supposed to be like a gremlin? Like, why is it pink and purple? Like, this doesn't make sense to me. I don't like this. And then it evolves, and the hot pink and the green and the black, it's like, oh, actually, that's pretty cool. His arm is like attached to his hair. Morgrim. Yeah, his arm is like cool looking, and he's got the tail, which is actually his hair, and is like, okay, I wonder where this is going to lead. And then it evolves again. And it is a sinister, monstrous, like, buff, like girthy, visibly like evil looking Pokemon. Like so starkly different from a lot of Pokemon, I feel. So cool. And in retrospect, now Impidimp makes sense as its first evolution. But as just looking at Impidimp alone, I was like, oh, what is this? Especially its name. It's like Impidimp. Great. But then when it's Grimmsnarl, man, what a cool Pokemon. What an awesome Pokemon. What a great design. And it's Gigantamax. Like, when they leaked its Gigantamax, everyone was like, oh, that's gotta be the big boss. That's gotta be
Eternatus.
That's gotta be Eternatus. Yeah, that's gotta be Eternatus. Yeah, but it was just Grimmsnarl.
Yeah, when I saw the leak of Mega Grimmsnarl, I thought that was like the big bad like Pokemon that you get at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah. The enemy Pokemon. I was like, oh, there's the Necrozma of
exactly.
this game. Yeah.
So now let's count back our teams. You want to go first, Slime?
All right, so I have my shiny Gengar as my ace. Then I have Blastoise as my starter. Then I have Skarmory, Hariyama, Flygon, and Toxtricity.
Okay, so my starter for Alligator, and I guess my ace kind of would be Jolteon. No, I guess my ace would probably be Metagross Shiny. So yeah, for Alligator, Jolteon, Shiny Metagross, Aerodactyl, Colossal, and Grimmsnarl.
It's so funny. I'm looking at King Louie's note, and he doesn't have the full names. He has Gator, Jolt, Gross, Shiny, Dact, Colossal, you have the full name, and Grimmsnarl, you have the full name.
Yeah.
That's funny. Dact.
But yeah, definitely, like, Ash thinks he's going to roll up on us with some Pikachu and some, like, unevolved Squirtle, like, get smacked.
But we can do it through the power of love, guys. Turn on the sprinkler system.
Onyx, no! So good. Speaking of Brock, just the anime, so many good memories of Brock being hilarious. That's why they kept Brock around for like 10 seasons. He has
the best lines.
You can violate my rights.
She can violate my rights.
Yeah. Nurse Joy's just Nurse Joy. Just classic, hilarious moments.
I don't know the exact line, but I know like the gist of it when they're on the SSN and they're trading. He's like, let's get trading. Everybody's trading.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Let's start trading. Everybody should trade. Let's start trading.
Yeah. Oh,
he's just like classic. Drooling over this woman who's 10 years older than him.
I'm not going to begrudge him.
No, but it's just funny because he was just so unrealistic in all of his expectations. So there's a few of us out there like that. But anywho, Pokemon Slimecast. I think we're gonna wrap it up. So many more things for Pokemon in the future. I can't wait. It's only a few days away for Pokemon Snap. And actually, let's spend a minute discussing Pokemon Snap because there's a certain memory we have. We won't go in full detail of us playing Pokemon Snap, but we beat the game in like what?
I think an hour and a half.
Hour and a half, 2 hours.
Yeah, and caught all the guys.
And got pictures, everything, got Mew, got Gyarados out of the waterfall. If you don't know what you're doing in that game, it could be a long, kind of a game. But if you know where everything is, you could beat that game in an hour and a half, which is the sign of a good game, I feel, because that's how it should be. Like, you should be able to master a game. But I cannot wait for the new one. I've only ever watched the first trailer, so I'm not really... I know there's been 2 or 3 more trailers that have come out in recent weeks. I haven't watched them. I pre-ordered the game, and I fully intend on playing that on the channel. And I also will be playing the Diamond and Pearl remakes when they come out later in the year, and then following that, Pokemon Legends Arceus, which I believe will be on the Switch Plus Ultra exclusively. Slime begs to differ.
Yeah, if they put Legends of Arceus on, exclusive to the new Switch, if there's a new Switch coming down
which
the
I
line,
also think they'll do with Breath of the Wild 2.
And if they do, especially if they do it with Breath of the Wild 2, I'll feel so betrayed. Because, I don't want to have to buy a new system to play the next, 2 games. I feel like we're only halfway through the generation's, life cycle for the consoles.
Well, that's what happens. There was the PS4 Pro a few years into the PS4's life cycle. But there was no exclusivity, though.
They make the most money on the games, not necessarily the consoles.
So you got to sell the consoles to sell the games.
That's true. But they're going to want to, and you've seen it with Xbox and all this stuff. They, widen it so they can play on any device.
Oh, yeah.
That's definitely, more profitable. So I think it's going to be available for the Switch. I'm hoping that is available for the Switch, and I'm excited to play it as well.
Can't wait. Leave a like. Leave a dislike if you so choose. Comment on future Slimecasts. If you have any opinions or ideas, let us know. And don't forget to subscribe for more content. As I said, we're going to be finishing Oddworld up, and we're also going to be doing Pokemon Snap in recent weeks. And then following that, I'm not sure if I'm going to do full playthroughs of the Mass Effect Legendary Editions or more of kind of a highlight deal, but that'll definitely be in some shape or form on the channel as well. So we'll be seeing you. Peace be with you, and so long.